Hey there, this is Craig Shoemaker, New Media Evangelist for Infragistics, and I'm here to continue the series demoing the web dialog window. By way of example, I'd like to give you a little demo of what we're going to be building. So the web dialog window is a nice control because you have a lot of flexibility over what you're able to do. Notice that we have a window here that when I clicked on the header bar, we have a client-side event that's been wired up so that I get an alert when the mouse is up. I can drag this around and you'll notice that it has a modal state to it, so we can't access any of the background controls or text behind it. Also, if we wanted to, we can resize this control and have some control over how big and small it can be, as well as having an auto postback handler on there so that when we have resized the control, we can do something interesting in the back end. Now these are just obviously demo applications of the things you can do. There's a lot of other places you can hook into the auto postback as well as the client-side events, and let's take a look at it. Here we are in Visual Studio 2008. We're running against the .NET 3.5 runtime, and we have NetAdvantage 2008 Volume 1 for CLR 3.5 installed. So what I'm going to do is create a new website, and I'm just going to call this one Properties. So we're going to be exploring the properties in the control. And from there, what we're going to do to get everything set up correctly is to add a script manager to the page. And we're also going to add the web dialog window control. If you saw our previous videos, you'll notice that it adds the register tag as well as the beginning markup that we need to work with the control. From here, what I'm going to do is add a content pane and a template so that we have something to work with. And we'll just say, I'm a web dialog window. That should, exclamation for some emphasis. So now we're going to switch over to design mode, and what that's going to do is launch the utility from Infragistics that's going to bring in all the styles for the application so that the window has the right coloring and format that we need. We can see that it does have the correct style now. So we're going to go ahead and fill out some of the properties. So the first thing we're going to do is change the height and the width. So we'll make this, we'll make it a square, 200 pixels high by 200 pixels wide. Now the next thing I want to do is set it to modal so that it locks access to any of the background controls. And then something I think I forgot to demo earlier was that we're going to be dealing with the maintain scroll position, or maintain location on scroll. And in order for us to see that that works, I've set aside a little bit of markup over here, which I got from lipsum.com, which generates basically gibberish for you. And I'm going to paste that in so we have a good amount of data, paragraph data that will display on the screen so that we'll be able to scroll. Alright, so let's check this out and see what happens. So it loads up on the page here, and you'll notice that we do have it in modal mode, so we can't select any of this text or anything back here. And if I scroll the window, you'll notice that it stays in the place of which I dragged it. So the maintain position on scroll is definitely working. Alright, let's make it a little more interesting now. Let's add some client-side events. So I'm going to switch over to design mode. If we come in here to the client events part of the properties, you can see that there's a number of different client events that you can tap into. And all you need to do at this point is type in the JavaScript function name that you're accessing. It's basically it's looking to call this function. So for right now, I'm going to use the header mouse up, and to make it simple, I'm just going to use the same name. So and I'll copy that so I don't get any typos. And then let's switch over to the source and add in some script for that. So all we need to do is put function, paste in header mouse up. The arguments are sender and then event args. And what we can do here is just alert mouse up. test it and see what happens. So now I should be able to drag this around, and when I do a mouse up, I get a nice JavaScript alert. So the control is basically really easy to tap into. Let's take a look at some of the other client-side events that are available to you. So you can see that header mouse down, out, over, and up. When you move the window, when you resize it, the resizer mouse out and over. Now speaking of resizing, let's check that out. So we're going to come down here to the resizer group. And the first thing that we're going to do is enable it. And this is interesting here because what you can do is set some parameters for how big and how small this window can be. So I'm going to say I don't want it to be any larger than 500 pixels high by 500 pixels wide, and I don't want it to go any smaller than 200 pixels by 200 pixels. I'm just doing squares, but obviously you could do any geometry that you want. Let's check this out, see how it works. So if I resize this window, it's only going to be able to grow to a size of 500 by 500, and it's only going to be able to shrink to a size of 200 by 200. So you have full control over how big and how small these windows need to be. Okay, and for the last little bit of the demo, let's show you how to add in an auto postback flag. So what we want to do is come over to this group in the properties where it says auto postback flags, and we're going to do the resized one, and we're just going to turn it on. Now that that flag has been turned on, we can come over to the events window and find the resized event. We'll go in here, create a handler, and just do something simple like response right. Always type the worst when someone's looking. And we'll just say resized. So let's check this out. Now I'm going to move this out of the way so that when we do our auto postback, you'll see the response right at the top there. And so I'll resize it, and right there it's been rendered resized. So we've been able to affect a number of the properties in the window. We tapped into client-side events, and we also showed you how to tap into the server-side events through auto postback handlers. So again, if you have any questions about this demo, please feel free to email me. You can send your messages to cshoemaker@infragistics.com. If you have any support issues regarding the control, the best place to get help is infragistics.com/gethelp. And if you'd like to check out the documentation on any one of our controls, head on over to shrinkster.com/x62. Thanks a lot, and make sure you check out the rest of the videos on the website dealing with this and the other new controls for NetAdvantage 2008.
Infragistics, powering the presentation layer. Infragistics.com